Hello, my name's Artemis, and spooky season is well and truly upon us, at least for 2 or 3 days or so, and then I imagine we'll be jumping headfirst into Christmas and letting Mariah Carey just scream into our fucking ears. But for now, at least, it is horror season. It is time for Halloween, and therefore I thought I would go over some Halloween stuff. And considering our country is going into lockdown and the world is kind of ending a little bit and most people are staying at home, that means going over some horror films that are actually decent. And I don't want to discount some of the real classics, you know, like the Friday the 13th stuff and Nightmare on Elm Street, The Shining, because they are good examples and good films. But I know a lot of films that are actually really fucking good, top quality horror that kind of flies under the radar. So I thought I would help educate you and maybe find something spooky for you to watch during this locked down, virus infested Halloween we have this year. Now, that does usually entail a top 10 list, but I got a bit greedy, so we're doing a slightly strange top 11 list because I kind of couldn't leave any of these out. And one of them was a late edition because I forgot about it. I'm sorry. But here we go. YellowBrickRoad is a film which I have a kind of love-hate relationship with. If there's one thing I cannot stand, it is a film that drives forward this idea of an enduring mystery and then never really capitalizes on it. And unfortunately, this film does have that crime, just a tad. So I will warn you before we get into this that if you like a satisfying ending, getting all the answers, you're not going to get that here. You will get an ending, but you're going to look at it and go, oh, okay, and that sometimes kind of ruins something. But it's not always about the destination, it is about the journey, and this film does that journey very well, following a film crew who are investigating what happened in this little town where everybody just one day decided to up and leave, walking down a trail where some of them were found, some were found in pieces, but most were never found. They hope to recreate that trail, and, well, would you guess it? Shit goes wrong. This film really drives up the tension, uses a lot of devices that I've not really seen, which is really great, the use of certain music cues in different areas. But what really got me with this film, and this actually had a scene that completely fucked me up and really stuck in my head and terrified me, because it's a moment of pure brutality and ultra-violence that comes completely out of left field, and the way that it's presented makes you feel like you are trapped watching it with no ability to turn your head away from it. It's fucking, it'll get you. It'll get you. Give this one a watch, but don't sit there and think that you're going to get every answer. Just enjoy the journey. It doesn't say that it's shit, it's just a missed opportunity. A little bit like Lost, you know? The Tunnel is another incredible tour de force performance film which really nails the atmosphere that it's trying to drive home. Following a journalist crew that are seeking to find out exactly why the water reservoirs in the tunnels underneath a major city in Australia aren't actually being used, they go in. They try and figure out why are homeless people disappearing, what's going on, and it's all done from a mockumentary / found footage perspective. This film starts off with a very, very hooky kind of mystery that draws you in, like, actually, yeah, what the fuck is going on here? What's happening? And it does not stop from the second that it starts. When you are in those tunnels, you're fucked from that point onwards. This gave me a lot of moments that really stuck with me, really freaked me out, because the sheer sense of being isolated away from the world, completely unable to find your way back, but also being watched and stalked the entire time by something that is unknowable to them, is terrifying. That whole feeling of being followed just is encapsulated so well in this film that even on multiple viewings, it still shits me up, and I definitely recommend you check this one out. Now, like Mungo is a very effective mockumentary horror film, and it's actually very difficult to put down why exactly it's so scary, because its whole appeal is its atmosphere. It is so incredibly atmospheric in this mockumentary sense. Basically, the short synopsis is, family's daughter goes missing, turns up dead, and they have to struggle with her loss, but things don't exactly go how you would want them to or how you would expect them to, and it's all a documentary about what happened to them following the death of their beloved daughter and sister. It is a fucking ride. It feels realistic. The acting and the portrayal is completely on point, and the plot completely brings you through it. When you look at this film after you've watched it, you feel like not a lot has happened, and not a lot has actually been done to scare you shitless, but you'll be terrified to walk upstairs on your own with the lights off, and you will not want to go out in the fucking dark. This one gets you. Behind the Mask, The Rise of Leslie Vernon. This is an odd film. This is probably the least horror films out there, but this is definitely the most Halloween, besides maybe that other one I mentioned. This is quite a different one. This follows a sort of mockumentary crew that are investigating Leslie Vernon, a man who is seeking to become the next serial killer, the next slasher, the next Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees kind of person. It's really interesting because it takes place in our universe as someone who aspires to be one of these murderers, and he has a process and he has a way that he stalks his victims and he chooses them and what he wants to do. It's a fantastic portrayal of all the horror movie tropes and where they come from, and a very unique take on turning them on their head whilst also kind of engaging in them as well. This film is not going to scare you, this film is not going to leave you terrified, but if you enjoy horror, and you've watched a lot of them, you're going to enjoy watching this because of the moments that it gives you. I thought it was a very smart, very well-made little film, and I definitely look forward to watching it again. You should give it a go. Savageland is an incredibly impressive film for me, and it's one that I feel really deserves a lot more praise because it's able to inject new life into two little areas that I feel are so very close to being completely jump the shark territory, and that is found footage and zombies. Now, those are two things that can merge together very well, but I don't believe as well as they have been in this film here. Now, imagine a found footage film without the found footage. The general synopsis of the film is that a small border town in America completely disappears overnight and the residents are entirely massacred by something or someone. There is just one single survivor who claims that he was not the person perpetrating these acts, but also a victim of them. He didn't get a chance to film it. What he actually did was take photos. He's a photographer. The horror that this film can portray through just simple still images and accounts of what happened in those images is impressive beyond anything I even hoped for. I've seen this film a couple of times now, and every time certain photos get to you. The way that it is built, this film is put together, is masterful. And honestly, if you're starting to get a bit bored of horror and you haven't seen anything new, give this one a fucking watch, because I guarantee you've not seen anything as effectual as this. Noroi the Curse. Now this one is actually kind of amazing, completely fucking stupendously amazing, and I love it, and it actually annoys me that it went completely under my radar for so long. This is sort of known in horror circles as being the epitome of this director's career, and that's a shame because it's the first one I watched, but it is stunning. This one follows a Japanese documentarian who is searching through, basically his whole thing is this actually a ghost? Is it real? I'm going to investigate it. And then he finds something, and the whole documentary is based off of his findings in this one particular case and what happened leading up to his disappearance. This film plods along a little bit. It sometimes feels a little bit ridiculous, but my God, the theme of it is so incredibly dark. The twist and what actually happened in this case was way more than I was expecting it to be, and I was fucking hooked. This isn't going to be one of those massive jump scares at every corner little outings, but this one will get to you. This one will give you an ending that will make you fucking satisfied and also terrified. Ghost Stories is an incredibly impressive film for me. It is something that started off a little bit by the numbers and a little bit nothing, and then evolved into something so much more fucking amazing than I was hoping for. I'm only going to give you the premise, and that is that it follows around a person who is investigating the paranormal, trying to find evidence. That's all I'm telling you about this film, because anything else would spoil it, would ruin it. You need to watch this film to truly appreciate it. It completely dove under the radar. I had no idea that it was a thing that existed until we tried watching it, and I was blown away. I've only been able to see it once because it is actually a bit hard to find, but if you can find it, watch it. It is probably one of the best examples of modern British horror that I could actually name, and God, I might have to find a way to fucking watch it because I love this film. The Void is a total mindfuck, and that's why I love it. Now, I adore Twin Peaks. I don't find it particularly scary, but I love the sense of mystery and that there are things that you just should not know. There is knowledge that we are not permitted to have. It's a very Lovecraftian thing, very eldritch horror, and that is exactly why I love The Void. This film starts off as a sort of by-the-numbers film that sort of merges into, oh my God, something's happening. We're all trapped in this location. What are we going to do? And then it merges a little bit into, uh-oh, spooky cult who look a little bit like the KKK. What are we going to do? But then it completely says, ha ha ha, fuck your expectations. We're going hard, bitch. The themes that this film gives you, the imagery, and the complete jump from, okay, this is a bit low budget to, oh, okay, set design, wow. Really makes this film feel like something special. You are going to get some answers. You're not going to get them all. But that is kind of the point here. This film is unsettling. This film approaches a lot of themes and a lot of things in a very different way. And I don't really want to tell you too much about it because, honestly, it is an experience. And it did get me in a few areas. Not so much, jump scare, but more, oh, that is existential horror. That is terrifying. Wow. Give this one a go. It should be pretty easy to find. Don't look at anything before you go in. In fact, you probably shouldn't have even watched this. Something slightly different, we have Trick or Treat. Now this one is the true epitome of Halloween films. It is a little bit of a mashup, almost an anthology of Halloween horror, but it continues to cover a lot of the tropes and a lot of the core themes of Halloween, whilst giving itself its own unique little spin on it. This one was one we sort of watched on a whim once, and I was like, this is it, this is the purest, best Halloween film experience that you could ever really hope to get. And it's definitely one that you should give a little look to, because the stories contained within are very by the numbers in some ways, and very much you feel like, oh, well, I've kind of seen something like that. But this one really nails every beat and really makes itself feel like the epitome. If you had to sort of try and nail down one film that sums up Halloween perfectly, I would say this is the one. And Grave Encounters, which I would say is probably the most by-the-numbers film on my little list here. It does follow the found footage typical trope, and it does follow that one other tired trope of investigatory, I can't say that word, film crew who are looking for haunted locations, go to an abandoned asylum, and oh my god, this one's actually real! But this one does it right. If you wanted to watch a film which is a bit by the numbers but does it in the best way possible, this is the one. Yep, there are jump scares. Yep, there are creepy faces. Yep, it does follow a lot of the same rules. But this is the one that does it in the best way. This is the one that really uses its location to its fucking potential. And honestly, I've seen this film maybe 3 or 4 times now. It doesn't scare me every time, sure, because when you know jump scares are coming, they lose their effect, but the story of it is great. The way that it's acted and portrayed is great. The sense of crushing darkness and the lack of escape options are fantastic. And if you were going to watch any by-the-numbers typical haunted asylum film, this should be the one at the top of your fucking list, because the rest can't touch it. Banshee Chapter is a very beloved film for me. It is something that follows Lovecraftian horror, and if you know Lovecraft, you'll know exactly what sort of area we're going into. But it also ties in conspiracy theories and number stations, which honestly are a bit of an untapped market with a lot of horror makers. This is an odd film. It starts off a bit found footage, a little bit mockumentary, and it kind of stops being that at a certain point. It's a little bit odd. You don't notice it on the first viewing that much, but you're like, okay, we're still doing the found footage thing, but there's actually nobody here in character holding a camera or filming, so what the fuck? But the narrative and the mystery and the scares and atmosphere that this film puts in draws your attention away from it. It is a very good mystery, it's a very good twist, a very good plot that keeps you guessing and keeps you wanting to watch until the end and begging for a sequel. Now, it does incorporate the use of jump scares, but it doesn't rely on them. And that is the key difference here. Yep, you're going to jump a few times, but that's not going to be the thing that gets you. So there you have it, those are my top 11 horror films. I know I have spoken about a few of them before, but that's because I love them so much. And I sort of wanted this film list to be a bit more Halloween themed rather than just straight up shit your pants horror. So hopefully you enjoyed this. I hope you find some new films here that you haven't seen before. If you do like horror, I am sure you will understand just how difficult it is to find new horror sometimes, but there we go. If you did enjoy it, then maybe you would like to, I don't know, support right here. That would be kind of amazing. Who knows? I'm not going to force anything on you, obviously, but I will keep using this graphic because I'm proud of it. But thank you very much for watching. Maybe you'd like to subscribe. You can do that. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you find a new horror film that makes you shit yourself. Not literally, that's its own kink. But on that note, we better just finish the video. Thank you, bye!